Sometimes the biggest barrier to speaking a new language isn't vocabulary, grammar, or pronunciation. It's the voice in your head telling you that you're not ready yet, that you'll embarrass yourself, that you need to be perfect before you open your mouth. In today's episode, part one of this two-part conversation, I sit down with someone who has made it her mission to challenge that mindset. My guest, Rachel Tobol, is a multilingual English teacher and language coach who specializes in conversational fluency. She works with professionals, immigrants, and everyday learners who want to stop studying English and start actually using it confidently, naturally, and without fear. Rachel and I dive into what really builds speaking confidence. We talk about why mindset often matters more than grammar, why your accent is not a problem to fix, and how real communication always beats textbook English. Rachel shares practical strategies she uses with her students. Things like journaling, talking to yourself in a mirror, listening intentionally, and practicing in safe, low-pressure environment. We also explore how language shapes identity, especially for those living abroad or navigating multiple cultures. And Rachel opens up about her own journey, learning languages, teaching across countries, and eventually creating spaces where learners feel supported instead of judged. If you ever felt stuck, silent, or afraid to make mistakes, this conversation is going to hit home. So, as I always say, sit down comfortably, get yourself a coffee, and let's get started.
Woo! Let's go!
Here in the Languages Pedagogy Podcast, I'm super happy actually to have another great teacher, another great person here with us who is going to share a lot. So today we have a really good topic, and for sure we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn a lot. For sure I'm going to learn a lot with you as well. So please, I don't want to talk too much now. I will let you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
I am Rachel. I help business professionals to speak English in a way that feels natural, confident, and true to who they are. Most of my clients already know English, but they don't feel like themselves when they speak. And so my work focuses on the real conversation, identity, and like the psychology behind the confidence and not the textbook English.
That sounds really beautiful there. Yeah, I
Thank you.
mean, I think this is the second time that I'm talking with someone whose focus is to improve their speaking, their oral English, their oral part. I had another that I think that's why at the beginning I asked you if you were from Los Angeles, because I got another teacher from Los Angeles and she was talking a little bit about quite the same. So that's why I got the confusion. But that's a
funny.
really good one. What makes you actually come to this point of doing this, like helping people like in the oral part? What makes you think like, oh, this is the path?
So for me, it stems from like the past, I don't know, 10 years or so. I lived abroad in different countries, and I had to speak different languages, actually the last 15 years. And so I always wanted to feel that way myself. There was always a point where I was like, I'm performing, I'm trying too hard, I'm not sounding like myself. I just feel like a wet blanket when I'm really like this fun, energetic bubble. And so I started working on myself, like, okay, when I'm in these countries, I'm going to make friends who are from the country who don't speak English so that I have to speak until I can feel, and I want to feel like myself, so I will just be myself in that language. And eventually
Yes.
I got to the point where I felt that way. And at the same time, I was teaching English in the public school system in another country. And while I was teaching, a lot of the teachers were like, "You're so good at getting the kids to speak." And then one day I got a call randomly, like at 10 o'clock at night from the like head of the English in Israel. And she was like, I want you to be the national counselor of speaking.
Wow.
And so, and to go around the country and to help the teachers teach speaking. And
Consultations.
so consultations. Yeah, so I was meeting with like groups of teachers from different schools in different parts of the country. I would drive to like the most random villages, Arabic
Wow.
villages, and everywhere. It was really fun. And people were like, "You're going to these places?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine. Oh, I'll be fine." And um but that's not the question. The question was, right, getting the speaking part. So
Yeah.
I started doing that more and more, right? Um and a lot of the teachers were seeing improvements in themselves because they would teach the textbook, they would teach the grammar, but they didn't really do the speaking. And they saw a lot of improvement in the speaking in their students. And then from that, eventually, when I started progressing myself, like figuring out what business I want to do, maybe moving away from the public school system, and then a lot of things happened in Israel over the last, 5 years, so between
Definitely.
Corona and the war,
Yes.
and that pushed me to eventually like start my own business. And I was like, I have to focus on what feels good for me, and that's the speaking part of it. So there, there we are.
That's a
That's
really
how we
good
are now,
story
here
there.
now.
Well, that's how we are down here. Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yep.
Actually, I've always actually had this type of I don't know, question about how a teacher can get to have a student who's not not a native speaker and suddenly make them talk, like feel that confidence. It's not actually that comes from every teacher. Some teachers actually got that from inside. That's why it works even better. So maybe you
Hmm.
have the same quality inside, that like intrinsic
Hmm.
motivation or that feeling about it, that passion, and maybe the students also feel it. What do you think about it?
I think so. I always tell my students right when I meet them, even on the
Yeah.
phone when we have the initial call, like, imagine that we are best friends at a coffee shop.
Mhm.
And we're just chatting and like learning about each other. And they open up. And in that second, they're like, okay, and they just tell me everything. And then I think that's part of it is like the psychology, right? If if you know you feel comfortable and like safe and like you belong, then your English will improve because you then start to feel like yourself.
Exactly. Safety. That's the key word here. That's the word because most of the students, let's talk about a little bit like teenagers or adults, because they are all actually afraid of speaking because they, I don't know, they don't feel safe. They believe people are gonna start like bully them or they're gonna start laughing at them because they make mistakes or this or that. So that's a pretty important part there. So talking a little bit about this, about that mindset shift every English learner needs. So we're talking about speaking confidently, and another one is what the textbook is saying, right? That's quite the issue here. So why mindset matters more than grammar drills?
The mindset matters more than grammar drills because you've already done the grammar drills, right? You've done them again and again and again and again
Yeah.
and again. You've got the English now, right? You know it. You think you don't, but you do. And
Hmm.
so you really just have to switch like, okay, I'm gonna speak today, right? I'm gonna make a friend. I'm going to go to go to the coffee shop and order myself, you know.
Hmm.
So I think it's like when the performance with the grammar, you're usually in a class and you feel like you're performing when you talk and you're being graded, right?
Yeah.
And then so you're rehearsing your sentences, you're overthinking, you're trying to correct everything. And the real conversation the real flow of your language comes when you just show up as yourself and you
True.
share your ideas and you ask questions and you just
Exactly.
respond and you don't have to perform, right? You just
Exactly.
you're there.
True. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things that I've always thought as well, because most of the people, they just believe that the book is everything. And here I have a joke with another colleague here. We said the book is God, because most of the schools believe the book is God. I mean, the book is everything. That's what you gotta do. I mean, forget about communication, forget about this. No, 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 no. The book. Take the book and do what the book says. I mean, that's not how it works. Languages work totally different. I don't know if you agree with me, but to me, languages work totally different. It's not like teaching math. It's not like teaching, I don't know, geography or history or whatever. I mean, it's something different. It's more like a communication part. So I was actually talking with my friend, and he's like, "Oh, it's the same thing. The book is God," and that's what it's happening here now. What you're telling me right now actually hit me, because it's what I've been seeing as well a lot. So in this point now, how do you help? Let's start right now. You have students like kindergarteners. What students are you teaching now? What age?
Right now, I'm teaching adults. I work with teens and adults, but I only have two teens left, and I work mostly
Mm,
with adults. Um, and the teens that I have, they're basically their families speak both languages, English and the native language, and they just need to practice their conversation to keep it up to par.
mhm. S-
Um,
You use the same activities with the students? I mean, kids or teenagers and adults. You same
with the
activities or?
teenagers, with the teens, a lot of it is more, well, when they were young, I've worked with the same two teens for like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
But with them, it's more a lot of imaginary stuff. We build like worlds and more creative things and games. And so now that they're getting older, they're in their like 16. So
Yeah.
we've been doing just questions like talking about life.
Live, of
Um,
course.
yeah. And with my adults, it just depends on their goals usually, but a lot of times they want to speak about their life, their kids, um, their sex life sometimes.
Oh
Their
my
like I
goodness.
get all kinds of stories.
Ooh.
And then their businesses or like the business idea that they have. Um, So I work with mostly small business owners who they actually can speak a lot about their business, no problem, but then they want to work more on their home life, like raising their kids in English, talking to the teacher,
Mhm.
filling out forms in English,
Mhm.
working on feeling confident in their LinkedIn, writing on their LinkedIn, clarifying their niche. So, well, I usually will build I love building curriculum, so I'll build a program for the
Each
student.
student, different
hmm
curriculum for each student. It's not like you keep one as a basic.
it's there's a base, and then I'll take what I think fits for each of them. And but most of it is like I don't have like set lesson plans. It's conversational based, but there I have a formula for finding your niche for your elevator pitch, for writing on LinkedIn, for all those things.
I
So
mean,
we
that
work through
sounds
them.
super nice. I think your students are pretty lucky there. They must be very lucky over there, because not all the teachers have that ability to create that and make the lesson to be like more like a natural conversation, which that's the way it has to be. And then you're telling me that you
hmm
share even different type of topics, and that helps a lot. That helps. That
hmm
I think that's also part of curiosity. Students
It
are
is.
curious about things. I mean, they would like actually to know a little bit more about that. And if you actually start with that, maybe students will talk a little bit more, right? And this episode is brought to you by the Speaking Lounge with Rachel Tobol, where you practice real conversation, build confidence, and finally feel comfortable speaking.
The Conversation Lounge is really just a space to use the English you already know, the English you never actually get to use in your daily life. It's a place to share your ideas, talk about real topics, and practice in a way that feels natural and pressure-free. There's no recording, no spotlight, and nothing formal. We have a WhatsApp group, a weekly journal to get you thinking, and then a live conversation where you can actually practice so you feel confident in the real world. If you want to speak more, think more, and just feel like yourself in English, that's what the lounge is for. You can find the sign-up link in my bio on my Instagram profile at Speak Ready Squad. See you there.
Oh, you go straight to the curiosity.
Straight to the core. I asked so many questions. Like the first 3 lessons that we have, it's just like question. And then but they start to open up. They ask me questions, and it almost feels sometimes like we're on a podcast as well.
I guess so. Why not? You should consider that one too.
I know. I should.
How do you, in this one, how do you actually manage the problem with the mistakes? How do you control that? Because here's another issue that we have sometimes, because the problem with mistakes, sometimes we are the type of teachers that like to, like, I don't know, oh, you made a mistake, stop there. No, that's not correct. And you just caught the idea just for an explanation, an entire explanation of grammar. But that's not how it works, I think. How do you do that?
It's a good question, because that's always my biggest challenge. They want to always fix the mistakes, and I don't. I'm like one of those teachers that doesn't always want to fix the mistakes right away, because I want them to be fluent and just speak even if they make mistakes, because I think that the clarity is more important than the mistakes. But at the same time, I do want to fix their mistakes so that they don't repeat them. So what I'll usually do is we'll have the conversation. If I feel like I can easily slide in and say, fix it right there, then we do that. If they're like really talking and really in the flow, I'll just write it down, and then we'll go over it afterwards. And then, so like I have a whole folder where I write like everybody's things down, and then I can just go back and be like, hey, where you said this, it should really be like this. And
sounds good.
Yeah,
sounds like that. It's, you know, how to actually structure that as well, because not all the students actually feels the same towards mistakes. Some of them are a little bit more like close to that. I mean, they don't want to even hear their mistakes, because there's a point where students get to a certain level, like C1 level or a C2 level. Why not? They believe that they're so good that they have no mistakes. And when you actually find one of those mistakes, you want to tell them, they reject the idea that they have a mistake. Have you had those type of students, for example?
No, I've had opposite, where they're like, I hear mistakes. I'm like, you didn't make any mistakes. And they're like,
well, I've been unlucky then. I've had those students.
Yeah. Yes. And that's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, actually. You know, at the beginning, I thought it was like maybe just personality stuff. But then I was like, no. I mean, there are other students who are quite the same. They believe because they're in a certain level, they have no mistakes. And when I actually want to just highlight, you know what, this is not like this, you know, you would actually do it like this way. The structure is not like this. It's better if you do it like this. That we have inversion. You can actually apply this one, which is a lot better. And they're like, no, but why you say that? No, it's correct. That's the way. I heard a native speaker actually saying that and all that. I'm like, okay, fair enough. You hear a native speaker. That doesn't mean native speakers are speaking perfectly. They make mistakes.
That's what I was going to say. Exactly. I make a lot of mistakes when I speak. So that's what I always tell them too. I'm like, I make so many mistakes when I talk. So I don't really think it's as important for, if you make a mistake, to be so worried about it, because native speakers make mistakes too.
Exactly. And that happened for sure, you know, now, because you learn other languages. So for sure, you also make mistakes in all the languages as well, in the other languages you speak. So it happens. It happens. It's normal, actually. These kind of things that mistakes happen. So you haven't actually come across this type of students.
No, surprisingly. Maybe when I was teaching at the school in high school, they they think they have no mistakes. Yeah.
Nice. So here's
Nice.
I was actually just working in a couple of questions, and there's one question that I really like. How does learning change when students focus on communication instead of looking perfect?
Okay, so like I think by giving themselves permission to be imperfect, right? Like
That's beautiful. That's a quotation. It's a quote actually for LinkedIn right now.
for later.
Go ahead.
Yeah, give yourself the permission to be imperfect. The mistakes are just part of the process. And when you're in the private lessons or in group sessions, that's your space where you can practice. And the stakes are low and you can make all those mistakes. And then when you have to speak in the real world, you feel safe. And you're like, okay, I know this. I've practiced this. I can do this now.
Mhm.
And I think that's when your like fluency just really can flow more.
Exactly. So we have these students, like I told you, as an experience. But I see you don't have that experience. But yeah, I have these type of
Right.
students who are kind of obsessed with grammar. Do you have those?
Right.
They have kind
Yes.
of an obsession with grammar. They don't care if they're fluent or whatever. They are obsessed with grammar. They want to actually just speak
Yeah.
perfectly. No mistake at all. Have you had those students?
Oh yeah, I've had those students I've had. And those students that I tell them right in the beginning, because they're like a lot of my students when I first start with them, they're like, fix all my fix all my mistakes, fix all of my mistakes. I want my grammar to be perfect. I want this, I want that. And I'm like, we're gonna take those mistakes and we're gonna just throw them away. I don't care about your mistakes. I don't care about the perfect grammar. I don't I don't want you thinking about, is that the past perfect? Is that this? Is that? I only want you to just talk and flow,
True.
and I don't care about anything else.
True.
And eventually they kind of get past that after, about I usually work with them about 20 lessons, and after about half, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm speaking a lot better and I do make mistakes, but people understand me more. And that's all I really want.
That's the main objective. I mean, and you're doing it. You're
Yeah,
reaching there. That's the point.
right.
So, what simple habits do you use actually to build this communication first thinking? What do you tell your students, for example? Because right now, this episode, it was actually meant to be for teachers, but not only teachers, because I also have in the community students who are learning English or learning any other language, and they would like to actually know how to do it. What habits would you recommend actually to build that communication first thinking?
So the habits that I used for myself when learning other languages, and then also that I give to my students, is weekly journaling or even daily journaling.
Ooh,
So just writing out
you love
your
writing.
day. Well, I didn't love writing until a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago. But I don't know, I've started to grow to love it. I started writing myself and then I started telling my students to write. Well, okay, that's not true. I always did it when I did public school. Like when I was in the
Yeah,
school, every day to start the lesson, I had my students write. And then I was teaching at the university and I was like, okay, I had them also do it. And they were like, I've never had a single teacher in my life have me write a journal. And it really helps to get your ideas flowing, not just in like the other language, but in your native language. But I had them do it in English. And you can do just about your day, go over your day or your week, or choose a random topic and then write about that. And it helps your speaking because you put it out on paper first. And when you put something in paper and you go from right to left or left to right and you cross your midline, it gets your brain functioning in more like it processes more clearly. And then it helps with the language skills as well. Um, what else? Talking to
Writing
yourself in the
journals.
mirror.
Well, oh, that's a very yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
so
very
going
popular
back,
one.
so talking to yourself in the mirror, talking to all the little animals you see outside, like talking to the birds or um the squirrels or whatever you have in your wherever you are in the
That's
world.
true. That's true, actually. That's something that I've actually heard a lot. In the other languages that I spoke, for example, the my Russian teacher, he used to tell me exactly the same thing, you know. This is kind of a global stuff, you know. I think every educator has quite the same goal, you know, the same
Yeah.
activities maybe actually just to make the students to feel like confident and all that, you know. You know, look yourself, talk to yourself in the mirror or whatever, blah blah blah. Write journals. That's also my Russian teacher used to say that as well.
Hmm.
Of course, it was very hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy,
It's
but
not
that's
easy.
when you're home in your safe place, that's the time to do it, right?
Yeah, but it's kind of weird.
And well, yeah, but even like also, so another thing, another tool that I do is I'll like state everything that I'm doing. So like if I'm making coffee, I'm like, okay, I'm pouring the water, I'm adding the beans are grinding now. Like I push the button, now the coffee is flowing. Like I'll go over all the
Yeah,
things that I'm doing. And so then like when I invite my non-native English speaker friend over and we're talking, right? Um Well, actually, it's flipped. Like when I was in the other language, right? I was in
yeah.
my L2, and I'd invite the one who is L1. I could say,
Oh,
"Hey, would you like coffee? Here, I'm gonna grind it for you." Like I was able to say those things because I already
yeah.
in my mind like went over and over, went and
So
over it again.
exactly, you say you were actually speaking. How many languages do you speak now?
Three. Well, two others besides English.
Okay, three.
Right.
What are those languages?
It's
Only
Spanish and
English?
Hebrew.
Oh, beautiful. Hebrew
Yeah.
sounds really hard.
Hebrew Hebrew's hard. It took me like 9 years to feel comfortable. Yeah.
9. Wow.
Yeah. After like I think it was the seventh year, we moved from Tel Aviv, where it was like all, everyone spoke English,
Capital,
even the
yeah.
Israelis.
Wow.
It's yeah. To we moved to like the country. And when we moved, I was like, I'm gonna speak Hebrew. Like that was that when I said in the beginning, like that was the
Yeah,
time I was like, I'm gonna speak Hebrew. I'm gonna make an Israeli friend, and not just an Israeli friend that doesn't speak English.
yeah.
And then
That's the best thing.
that's the best thing. My kids' friends from their daycares, right? I would invite them over for a play date, and I was like, I'm going to speak Hebrew
Hebrew.
now. Like I speak it. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm ready.
Well,
And it wasn't
th-
perfect. It's still not perfect, but it's
what
communicable.
about Spanish?
Spanish, so I'm getting it back because I learned it before I went to Israel.
Okay.
And then I didn't use it for 11 years. And then only now that I'm back in Florida, I'm like using it all the time, actually.
So
So
there's a
I
big community in Jacksonville that speaks Spanish.
Oh yeah, Spanish, Portuguese, Albanian. Like there's a lot of people here now.
Yeah.
When I moved abroad 15 years ago, there was
Yeah.
nobody.
Well,
Everybody was English. Everybody was like white English
yeah.
speakers. And now it's like a huge melting pot. People are moving here from Miami. So
Oh,
it's fun.
Miami.
It's
Yeah,
like
Miami
perfect
is actually a
timing.
lot of a
Yeah.
lot of Spanish Miami.
Oh
Even
yeah.
in
Yeah.
Tampa.
Oh yeah, in Tampa, I heard so much
This is
Spanish when I was there over
yeah.
Thanksgiving.
There's a
Yeah.
big community of South Americans there as well. They're from Chile,
Yeah.
Ecuador, Peru. Yeah, there's a lot of people there
Hmm.
that speak Spanish. Okay.
Yeah, we have a
So
lot
you're
of
gonna.
Venezuelans here. It's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
right now, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right now, it's a lot
hmm
of Venezuelans. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't actually been back in like for 6, 7 years.
Are you Venezuelan?
No,
Oh,
Chilean.
okay. Chilean, Chilean.
Yeah,
Nice.
but I haven't been back to the States in 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Yeah, it's
family's
time to
there,
come.
so I think so. I think so. I've been actually traveling too much already. So speaking the languages, learning the languages. I mean, the only way that actually you can speak the language is just going to that country, I would say. Because if I go to China, I can actually learn Chinese. That's what I'm doing here. Same thing
hmm
with Russian. I did it. Same with Korean. I did it. But I need to live in that country, I think. Those languages
Right.
are really hard to learn outside that country, I would say.
I think so. Like Spanish, I think you can, well, if you're in Florida, Spanish you can learn here. But but the other languages, yeah, I think it's a lot easier. I think any language is easier if you're in the country because of the type of motivation, right? You have
Mm,
that intrinsic motivation. You're like, I have
true.
to get along with the people.
True. That's
Um,
true.
yeah,
Uh, I have another one that I would like to ask you this one because for sure you can help us out.
sure.
What helps learners stay patient and celebrate progress instead of chasing instant fluency?
I have to talk about that a lot with my students, actually. They always want like a fast fix, and I tell them right away, it's not going to be fast, it's not going to be
Yeah,
easy. Usually, with the stage that they come to me in, it's 20, 24 lessons is usually fine, but the it's not it's think about it. I always think about it as like a child, right? When a child is learning a language,
hmm
you spend your whole childhood and even teen years just learning the foundations of the language. So you're doing the same thing, let's say as an adult. It's going to take you like, maybe 7 years because you have to learn like you're a baby and you're being reborn and you start with blah 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 and you get to dad and then you
true,
just have to slowly build. And I think a lot of people, this is my biggest thing, is they forget to listen. That the listening sometimes is even more important than the speaking part or the writing.
true.
Because if you think of
Understanding.
like a kid, they spend you spend your whole beginning of your life just listening to the language before you can even say a word. And so I always tell my students, ask me some questions too, so I can give you an answer so that you can practice your listening as well.
Exactly. Exactly. That's another one. That's true. Listening also hits hard actually. If you don't learn to listen, how are you gonna be able to communicate better, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very
Mm-hmm.
important as well. Um, what about comparison? When
Oh,
students
yeah.
compare themselves with another one, or I have a student, oh, why does he speak better than me? I'm in a higher level, but
Mm-hmm.
and then confidence go down.
Right, right. That's another thing that I always tell them from the beginning. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't compare yourself to your husband or your coworker. Like
Yeah,
they could have
exactly.
been, everybody's different and everybody learns differently. Some people take longer, some people shorter. Just compare yourself to where you were 2 months ago.
And all right, we're going to pause the conversation here. If there is one big takeaway from today, it is this: fluency isn't built in grammar drills, it's built in moments of courage. And let me remind you that we're going to have part two next episode, episode 175. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who's been afraid to speak English or any language. And if you are that person, stay with us. you're closer than you think. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. And I'll see you in part 2.